Hi, I'm Christina, and this is my reading wrap up for the month of July. So I'll do my stats first. In July, I read 6 books. I have 4 4-star reads, 1 3-star read, and 1 2-star read. In terms of genre, I have 3 thrillers, 1 science fiction, 1 fantasy historical fiction, and 1 young adult horror. So I'll start with the books I like best, the 4-star reads. Now I have book reviews for all 4 of these, so I'll link those down below if you're interested, and I'll just give a summary here. So first up is Recursion by Blake Crouch. This is a science fiction book where people are experiencing memories of a life that they have never lived. We follow 2 main characters, Barry, who is a police officer, and Helena, who is a neuroscientist. And we follow 2 timelines, Barry, who is in the present, and Helena, who is in the past. Now, it takes a little bit of time to get into this one, but stick with it, it is worth it, I promise you. As it goes on, it gets more and more complex, and I just loved that aspect of it. And there really is a lot in here to wrap your mind around. And there's also a lovely, quiet love story running through this, which I think adds a lot of heart, which is sometimes lacking in science fiction books. So overall, this is a wonderful book. I gave it 4 stars. I'd highly recommend it. And the full book review is linked down below. Next up is The Silent Patient by Michaelides. So this is a thriller. Our main character, Alicia, is in a secure psychiatric hospital for criminals after murdering her husband, and she hasn't spoken a single word since that day. The story is told through Theo, who is her psychotherapist. But we also see snippets of Alicia's point of view through her diary entries. I devoured this book over the course of just 2 days, and nearing the end, I genuinely couldn't put it down. It is full of twists and turns, it kept me guessing throughout, and it genuinely surprised me. It is an excellent book. I gave it 4 stars. Again, I'd highly recommend it, and the full book review is linked down below. Next up is The Binding by Bridget Collins. This is a fantasy book. It is a historical fiction fantasy set in a time reminiscent of 1800s England. A binder can extract a memory from a person and place it within the pages of a book. Our main character, Emmett, is a binder's apprentice. It is a very slow-paced book, but it is beautifully written. Ultimately, it's a story of love, of familial love, of romantic love, of forbidden love, and the world building in this is excellent. The way she describes and explores the magic of binding is just fantastic, and the concept is just really interesting and quite unique, in fact. And the love story in this is beautiful. This book manages to be both heartwarming and heart-wrenching at the same time. I think it's a fantastic book. It's a definite 4-star read for me, and again, I would highly recommend it. And my full book review is linked down below. Next up is The Shadow Friend by Alex North. This is also known as The Shadows in America. This is a dark and spooky thriller. Our main character, Paul, returns to his hometown after 25 years. His memories of the place are haunted by a brutal murder that involves some of his school friends. We follow 2 timelines, Paul in the present and Paul at the time of the murder when he was 15 years old. This is a really gripping book, and it genuinely managed to scare me. Overall, it was a really exciting and fun read. It is a definite 4-star read for me. I would highly recommend it, and my full book review is linked down below. So those are my 4-star reads, and I needed to stop for a biscuit break. Now on to my 3-star read, and that is Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is a thriller. So I dropped this one down to 3 stars because I found the first half quite slow in pacing and it wasn't particularly thrilling for a thriller. However, it did pick up in the second half, so it's definitely a solid 3-star read for me. Our main character is Quincy Carpenter. She is the sole survivor of a massacre, and so she is a final girl. It was the night of her best friend Janelle's birthday, whose parents had rented her and her university friends a cabin in the woods called Pine Cottage. Years later, Quincy is living a normal life. She is a baking blogger and she lives with her boyfriend Jeff, who is a public defender. She doesn't remember much of the night of the massacre. In fact, she doesn't remember anything at all of the crime itself. All she remembers is running through the woods, covered in blood, screaming after being stabbed, and she runs into the arms of a police officer, Coop, who was first on the scene. So there are 3 final girls made infamous by the media. All of them are sole survivors of a massacre: Lisa, Sam and Quincy. When the first final girl, Lisa, is found dead, Sam comes out of hiding to visit Quincy for the first time. So everything I predicted would happen in this book didn't happen. So it certainly surprised me. It is a solid 3-star read for me. It is a good book and I would recommend it. So the final book is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. So this is a young adult horror book. Now the premise of this one is right up my street. It's set at a girls' boarding school called Raxter, which is located on an island. It's been 18 months since the school was put under quarantine because of the tox. Now the tox has killed the majority of the teachers, and all of the students have been infected, and they have started to grow strange kinds of deformities, such as a second spine. All the animals on the island have changed as well. They've all become more wild. So this is essentially a story of female friendship. It focuses on a group of 3 friends, Hetty, Byatt and Reese. And the story is told through 2 different perspectives, through Hetty and Byatt. And there's also a sapphic romance in here, but I didn't think the relationship was actually very well developed. And for me, they were the good points of this book. There was a lot more that I didn't like than I did like. Overall, I found this book underwhelming, and I was really looking forward to reading this one, partly because it is so hyped on BookTube. But I found the plot very predictable, and there wasn't anything in here that really stood out to me as special. And I didn't connect with any of the characters, and I don't think there was much character development in here, if any at all. Overall, I think it's quite a bland and ultimately forgettable book. But it is an okay book, and I gave it 2 stars. Perhaps I would have enjoyed it more when I was younger. I'm not sure, but you might really like this book. So if you are interested in it, still check it out. So those are all the books I read in the month of July. If you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I love to talk to you about them. If there's any here that you want to read, let me know that too. Otherwise, tell me what was your favourite book that you read in the month of July. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video and please do subscribe if you'd like to see more of me talking about books. See you in my next video. Bye!